And promises, the impact of promises that one makes in a particular lifetime with others. Dr. Charles here, and I want to talk about promises and how a promise made to another individual is like a karmic bond. A woman client, very successful executive. She had an issue when she first came to see me, and the issue was she was upset that she had to pay her husband alimony. They were divorced, they had a couple of kids, and she was actually paying him every month alimony. And she just couldn't get her head around why she had to do that. He was unemployed, and of course she had a good salary, but it just didn't feel right to her. And she was just wondering, okay, why is that happening? So when we did a soul journey session with her, she went directly into a past life as a Roman soldier. And I might add, this is a non-hypnotic process, so she was fully conscious that she went into this past life. As a Roman soldier, part of the Roman legions, from time to time, she, as a male, was called on to go into battle. And in this life, as an executive, she's very hard-charging, very proactive manager. And in that past life, she was also sort of a hard-charging warrior. So whenever he had to go to be called into the battle, he would leave the home that they had, which was outside of, on the outskirts of Rome. They had a modest little place, and he would leave early in the morning, pack his things, and he would go off to battle. At this particular point in time, he was called into another battle, and so he's packing up to leave that morning, but his wife, she's up early, and she sees he's packing, and she knows he's getting ready to go into battle. Now, she knows her husband. She knows he's an aggressive, sort of head of the charge kind of warrior. And she comes to him and she begs him. She says, please, I want you to come back. If for some reason you don't come back, what am I going to do? And so I'd like for you to be careful not to be at the head of the charge of the battle, and just make sure that you take care of yourself, because I love you. And at any rate, he said, I promise I won't be at the head of the battle, and I'll take care to come back safe and sound. So he made a promise to her. But sure enough, old habits die hard. And when the battle began, he was at the front of the battle, and he was one of the hard-charging warriors at the beginning. But in this lifetime, in this particular battle, he got killed. And so when he died, we had him stay in the vicinity for a while and just check on his wife to see how she was doing. And it turned out that because he was their only source of income, she had to leave their home, their little modest place on the outskirts of Rome. She had to go into town. In town, the only way she could survive was to become a prostitute on the streets of Rome. And that's how she lived out the rest of her life, basically having to prostitute herself to survive. And so when we came out of that life, when she ended that session, she had a realization. Because she made a promise that she couldn't keep, it put her in a situation where she had a karmic debt to her husband. And it turns out her husband was his wife in that past life. She recognized that right away when she went into the life, that his wife was her husband in this lifetime. And so she had a debt to him she had to pay. And so when we relived that life and she realized that it was an unfulfilled promise that she was fulfilling in this life, there's a process one does where you undo the karmic ties that one has. Sometimes it has to do with clearing the trauma. In this case, there wasn't trauma, there was just disagreement. And once that was brought to full consciousness and she understood the implications of that and could forgive herself and ask him for forgiveness, not physically, but within. There's a way one can meet with the soul of a particular past life, even if it's a person in this lifetime that you know, and engage with them in a way to resolve certain karmic patterns. And so we needed to do that with her and resolve that sort of agreement that she had had with him from that past life. And once we did that, we ended the session. Well, within a few months, as fate would have it, she didn't need to continue to pay him alimony. Things just shifted in a way that wasn't a requirement anymore. And the reason that happened is because we resolved the commitment to the promise she had made in that past life. So it's important to know that when you make a promise to someone, it can be a karmic bond with that person. So it's advised not to make any promises that you know you can't keep or you're not sure you can keep. Certainly no problem with making agreements, but a promise is almost like a karmic bond.